Hey guys, Sherjan here, your personal mentor. A lot of my students ask me, when is a good time to leave the company? And the reason they ask me this is, in today's society, it ends up feeling like you're in a hamster wheel and you're working 9 to 5, and the job gets boring, gets mundane, and it's not as exciting anymore as it was maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. Things happen, you get different data signals, data points from other sources, and you start feeling more and more bored on a daily basis, and you just have less excitement in your life. So in this video, I want to talk about what are the 5 signs that you should look for, which should give you a signal about if it's the right time to leave the company. So the first one, and this is a simple one, other opportunities just look that much better, right? So if you're in any industry, from banking to tech to anything in the middle, sometimes other opportunities are going to give you more excitement than the opportunity you're currently in. And this could be for a lot of different reasons. It could be you might get paid 2 times more in another opportunity. You might have a more exciting team, a more legendary team in another opportunity. Or some other team might be working on more exciting things, more high growth products and opportunities. So there could be a lot of different reasons, or even, for example, geographic reasons. Like let's just say one option is in New York and the other one's in Singapore, and you don't want to be in New York, but you want to be in Singapore. So, just the opportunities itself that are beyond your current opportunity just seems so much better. Now, if you get a vibe like that where, the grass feels like it's greener on the other side, and by the way, it's generally never is, as we all know, but if it feels like it is at least 2x better than the current opportunity, then I would highly recommend you go and interview for that opportunity. So that's the first reason. If the other opportunity is at least 2 times better, either you get paid twice as much, or your learning opportunity is going to be twice as better, or the team there for some reason is twice as more qualified or has much more experience, and the vibe is better for you and them combined, then that's a good reason to take that signal and maybe make that move of looking for that next opportunity. The second reason is you yourself are not growing. So this could be growing in terms of experience, growing in terms of skill set, especially growing in terms of a learning opportunity, learning experience. And the way you want to get this signal is think about your current job and think back to about 6 months, right? 6 to 12 months maximum, and see if you have changed. Have you learned new things? Have you learned new skills? Has your network increased? Have you gained more resources in terms of like opportunities explored within that firm? Worked on more cooler projects, or learned a new technique that you didn't know before, or understand a new way of investing, or building a product, or managing people? Any of these types of learning experiences and growing opportunities, if you haven't seen that in the last 6 to 12 months, then there's a high chance you've actually reached a plateau. And when you reach that plateau, guess what? Every day feels like the same, and it feels like you're in that same hamster wheel going 20 miles an hour every day, 9 to 5, and everything just feels boring and boring and boring. So that's another signal that you should look for. So my opinion to you is look back 6 months, 12 months maximum, and see if there's been a meaningful change in your personal growth. Not just capital growth, that's different. Just personal growth in terms of just being better than the version you were 6 to 12 months before. And if that's not the case, then this is a good time for you to start looking at other opportunities. The third sign is to actually look up in your organization and see how are people that are above you or senior to you feel about their jobs and their life, and how do you feel about their life. So for example, if you're an analyst, look up to your associate's life and their daily, day-to-day energy and excitement for the job. Or if you're an associate, look up to the VPs and the MDs. If you're a summer intern, look up to the analysts. So anybody who's one rank above you, that person is basically 2 to 3 years ahead of you in that same career path. So no matter what you do and how hard you work, you'll ultimately end up in that seat for that, of that person. So if that person is not happy in their seat, and if you think you wouldn't be happy in their seat if you got there, then what's the point of being on this hamster wheel and continuing to work so hard and putting all your effort behind this opportunity? So look up through the org structure into the tree, or the hierarchy of your firm, of your group, and see what is the happiness level, the excitement level, the growth opportunity for those members. And if that doesn't exist, and if you feel like, hey, look, that's not a seat that I want to be in 2 to 3 years down the road, because ultimately that is the destination if you do everything right, then this is not the job for you, and you should start looking elsewhere. Next up, and this one is very, very dangerous and critical, is when you start losing respect for your own company, you start losing respect of the products and the projects you work on, and especially if you start losing respect of your team members and your bosses and your interns and everybody around you. When you start losing that respect, you feel like you're better than them, and you feel like, hey, they're making a lot of mistakes, and they're not good enough, or they're lazy, or whatever reason, right? And you just start having this jealousy or hate for them, right, then the environment has already become too toxic. And no matter how hard you work, you will always hate the environment around you. And this is actually not healthy for you, and especially not healthy for the company, because you're in this and you're kind of like an antibody. So I know this is not something you would want to hear, because sometimes we are the problem in those kind of situations. These are some of the best signs when you start seeing that everything around you just doesn't feel good, right? People don't feel good, and you just lose all respect for everything around you. That's a good time for you to leave, start looking at the opportunities, and start meeting and finding environments where you can be you, and you can, again, regain that confidence and that excitement for the people you work with, the projects you work on, and the brand or the umbrella that you're part of. All right, so the last reason, and this is the reason that's a lot more personal to me. Every time I've left a company, I've always had this gauge of mine, which helps me stay focused about if I'm feeling happy, if I'm feeling excited, and if it's the right opportunity for me. And that gauge is a very simple gauge of this. Every morning when I wake up, I kind of measure myself and figure out if I am excited about what I'm about to do, right? So when you get out of bed every morning, you should actually just take note of it and be like, you know what? Am I feeling excited about getting out of bed and going to do this job, which may be 18 hours long workday, or going to work with this team, at my company, or working on this project? If you're feeling and you're waking up unhappy, right, on a regular basis, that's the time when you need to start changing and making some changes in your life, right? So, for example, you wake up unhappy for a couple of days, that's totally fine. That's normal. Might be tough days at work, might be a tough week. You might have a little bit of an argument with someone at work, or some customer or some client, or a project went south. Those are normal. Those are regular downtimes in any company, and you shouldn't make changes for that. But if you start seeing that those kind of unhappy mornings are happening more regularly, right? So you're seeing that on a regular basis, and now it's been many, many months where you just wake up exhausted, right? You wake up exhausted, undermotivated, not excited to go to work, not excited to put on that suit or whatever you wear to work. All right, then that's a good time for you to start, putting a stop to that, start talking to other people, start looking for other opportunities, start exploring other avenues, because the worst thing you can do is continue waking up unhappy, because it's not going to change. It's going to continue being like that for the next 40, 50 years as you're in your career, and ultimately you have only one life, and I want to make sure you're waking up happy in it. All right, guys, so that's the video for today. Think about the 5 things that I mentioned and see if any of those apply to you. And look, if more than 1 or 2 of them apply to you, then it might be a good time for you to start thinking about other opportunities. And if none of them apply to you, that's great. It seems like you're in a great place, and you should continue on and rise up in that organization. Anyways, let me know in the comments if there are other reasons why you think someone should leave a company. I'd love to know. Subscribe, and I'll chat with you guys soon. Take care.